I want to start off this presentation by highlighting one specific region on the map that has pretty significant standing in biblical history. The region that you now see highlighted is the northwestern Mesopotamian district known as Paddan-aram. This area of land is located between the Euphrates and the Khabur rivers. The main people that lived in this land were the Arameans. Okay, so these people were Semitic people that they existed in kind of loose connected group. They were primarily pastoral economy, so herding, shepherding. However, certain researchers have looked into this area and they have decided that some major trade routes actually may have run through this area very close to different settlements that would have connected areas of all the way from Damascus to Nineveh, passing through this area. So when it comes to the religion of the Aramean people, they had a variety of gods, many of which represented different natural things like fertility, thunder, rain, things like that. Then when it comes to the social and household structure, it also very much reflected other cultures, including the Hebrew culture, in that it was very paternally based. The patriarch of the family, the father of the family, he was in charge. Like, bar none, he had ultimate responsibility over the family to take care of everybody, and he also had ultimate authority over the next question really comes down to, well, why is this important? Okay? So, two biblically noted locations within the Paddan-aram district were Nahor and Haran. So, some scholars actually use these interchangeably. Some scholars designate that they were two individual places. Regardless of that fact, these locations are significant because they represent the home area of Father Abraham. So, prior to Abraham getting called away by God, his father, Terah, had settled near Haran/Nahor, however you want to talk about it. And therefore, when Abraham left, the rest of his family wound up staying in that region. So, if we fast forward for the purpose of this presentation all the way to after Sarah's death, Abraham is an elderly man. He knows that his time is reaching its end, and so he really wants Isaac to have a wife, but he doesn't want Isaac to marry any of the local Canaanite women because the Canaanites, they were known for worshiping other gods like El or Baal, and so therefore Abraham, many would argue, really wanted a wife that also recognized the same God, that same Yahweh, the one true God that Abraham submitted his life to. And so Abraham defaults to his extended family, which is back in Paddan-aram. And so he calls on his servant and he says, hey, I want you to go out there. Now, Abraham knows this is still kind of a risk because, as I mentioned, the Arameans are very similar to the Canaanites, had other gods and other religious influences that could have influenced his family over this time while he was gone. But he had faith that his family had remained faithful to the one true God. And so he called his servant in and he sends him the 850-mile trip away to go find a wife for Isaac. Now, the servant loads up, gets 10 camels and an assortment of other treasures so that he can do this journey. So, all of this leads up to one crucial female character that I want to highlight in this presentation, and that female character is Rebecca. Now, Rebecca is the daughter of Bethuel, which makes her the granddaughter of Nahor, Abraham's brother, and so, in essence, she is the daughter of Abraham's nephew. So, in the household setting, traditionally, women were the ones who were tasked with going and drawing the water from the well, the local town well, and this by no means was ever an easy task. If you really want to put this in perspective, an average U.S. gallon of water weighs about 8 pounds, a little bit more. And so I'm pretty sure you can understand that that's quite the workout to go and draw a bunch of water. I mean, who knows how many gallons of water she was drawing in a day. So she's going to the well, and this sets up our scene. We know the Bible story. We know the servant's there. He comes up to her. He asks her for some water, and her reaction is really interesting. This is a very typical day for Rebecca. And mind you, remember the fact that many archaeologists think that there were some major trade routes that ran close to there. So it probably wasn't uncommon to run into some caravans or some travelers that would be at the well as well. Get it? And so the scene that she's walking up on probably isn't anything out of the ordinary, but then here comes the servant of Abraham. He runs up to her. He asks, hey, can I have a drink of your water after she's drawn? And so she's like, yeah, sure. And she pulls it down and lets him drink. And she's like, well, here, let me water your camels too. The man's got 10 camels. She's got one pitcher. She's going to water 10 camels with one pitcher. Now, I didn't look up how much a camel can drink, but we all know it's a lot, okay? 8 pounds a gallon, 10 camels, she just got to work out. And so Rebecca waters this stranger. She waters all of his camels. So here he is, and he's like, man, this would be the perfect woman for my master's son. What's your name? Who are you? So Rebecca says, my name's Rebecca. And she explains who she is and who her family is. And the servant realizes that she's from the same family as Abraham. He's found her. He's found the one. And so he exclaims with joy, praise the Lord, I found her first try. What? And so he says to her, he said, do you have room in your house? Please, take me to your house. Can I stay there? And she's like, yeah, come on. And so to make a long story short, because my time is running low here, the servant propositions the family. He says, can I please take Rebecca home to be my master's son's wife? And they agree to it. But they say, we want her to wait the 10 customary days with us. But the servant has a bit of an issue with that. He really wants to get back to his master. And he asks, could we hurry it up? Could we not do that? And so the family turns to Rebecca, and they actually give Rebecca the choice. And Rebecca, with the same amount of strength it took to heave however many gallons of water that was, says, okay, I'll go. It's okay. And so she willingly says goodbye to her family, whom she's not going to see again, to travel 850 miles with this guy that she really just met and be somebody's wife. It's insane. So what do we see? What do we see here? What's the world behind the text? Why does this matter to Rebecca's story? Well, we see Rebecca here with all the potential in the world not to fulfill the expectations of Abraham, to be Isaac's wife, to be the new matriarch of the Abrahamic line. She was from an area populated by worshipers of other gods. She had no reason to think that Abraham's servant would be any different than any of the other traders and caravans that would come in and around her area, and yet she still responded to him. And she had no obligation to leave her family so quickly for a journey that she would never be able to return home from. And yet, her and her family remained faithful to the one true God all this time that Abraham was gone, despite the influences of these other religious communities around them. They never gave up. She herself volunteered to heave gallon after gallon of water to water a stranger and his camels, who she had no idea who they would be. She just did it. And then she willingly said goodbye to her family so that she could start this new and ever so important chapter for the people of God.